Jennifer Stroman here again, and today we're going to be talking about charting to associate brand director. As a senior brand manager, you are building a sustainable business and are on the path to associate brand director. You must understand how to chart your way to associate brand director and how to build your leaders on your team so that you can achieve director level. So charting, the first thing you need to know about charting is you're going to need some time to yourself. You're going to need some time with your computer, a desk in a corner. I don't care where you are, get in your car, but you're going to need to take a moment to be away from the chaos. So let's talk about charting. First one, set aside some time to be alone. When you are alone, you're going to want to evaluate your team structure, volume, potential, open up the hub and look at where Cindy, Sally, and Kelly are, and where are they? Do they have, how much volume do they have? Do they have anybody under them? How long have they been in? Look at everything and evaluate what you're looking at before you get ready to start charting. Also, charting will help you find the gaps that need filling to make it to the next rank. So you're going to be able to look at your organization and see where are the holes that need to be filled. So we're going to get into how to chart and what you need to be doing when you're charting. But first, let's look at Associate Brand Director just for a moment. The requirements for Associate Brand Director are 600 PV, $10,000 in group volume, 4 active legs, 1 brand manager, and 10,000 downline volume. Personal volume. You need $600 in personal volume to qualify for a rank advancement to Associate Brand Director. You need $10,000 in group volume to qualify for a rank advancement to Associate Brand Director. Group volume includes levels 1, level 2, level 3, and your personal volume. Okay, so levels 1 through 3 and your PV. Active and titled legs. You need 4 active legs and 1 brand manager to qualify for a rank advancement to Associate Brand Director. So what does this mean? 4 active legs means that they are either sales active and have 120 in personal volume themselves, or they are new in the month of qualification. So if you are qualifying for Associate Brand Director in the month of August and you have a brand new brand ambassador in the month of August, they are considered active for that month, right? So that is considered an active leg for qualification purposes, okay? They aren't getting paid anything. It's just it's the terminology of active, right? So 4 active legs means the person either has to be sales active or new in the month of qualification. Brand manager. A brand manager, I pulled this little insert out of the comp plan, and you need 300 PV, 2,000 group volume, and 2 active legs. So this is what you're going to need to advance to Associate Brand Director: 4 active legs, 1 brand manager. Downline volume. You need $10,000 in downline volume to qualify for a rank advancement to Associate Brand Director. Downline volume is your entire organization. It's all levels, 1 till infinity, and includes your personal volume. Downline volume is where the 50% rule will come into play. You have to remember that there is a max of 50% of downline volume that may come from 1 leg. All right, so here is a chart for Associate Brand Director. You can pull this out of the album section in Sparkle and Roots or in our celebrity circle, but this is what the chart would look like. And as you can see, it has the requirements that you need, and then each box has a requirement. I colored the brand manager box differently so you can see that that stands out. Brand manager needs 2 active legs and $2,000, so I put that there. Everything's laid out nicely, right? This does not mean that each person only has 120 in volume, right? There's 6 people here, and if they all had $120 in volume, you're only at 720, right? So that's not enough to get you to the 10,000, obviously. So you would need more than that, but this is the basics. This is what is required, okay? When you start charting, you need to be looking at a few things. Who in your organization is working? Who is building? Who is a team player? Who really needs this? And who can you coach to get there? Brand manager. So who are you going to coach to get there? You've got to have a brand manager, remember? So charting is a time that you can help your teammates start to visually see what it is they were going to need to rank advance. It serves a greater purpose than putting names in the box, and it raises the questions. Who is working? Who is building? Who's a team player? Who needs this? So when you're coaching your brand ambassadors, your teammates, your stars, and you're looking at this chart, for instance, the brand manager chart, you can talk to them about, okay, so you three need at least $2,000. You have to have at least $300. If you look at this and your brand manager only has 300 PV and has 2 active legs who are sales active, that's still only what, 540? That's not enough, right? So you'd have to bring in more volume. What does that look like? How many people do you need to recruit? Is one of those legs a recruiting machine? Maybe they can recruit a bunch of people that all have a little bit of volume. What does that look like? Maybe you have a sales rock star and they can bring in the volume. Visually map it out rather than just plugging in names. You've got to really think this out. What does that look like? How much does it take to get there? Where are your holes and how do you fill them? All right, so this one is a scary thing, but I wanted to show you what a 50% rule would look like. All of those white boxes are not in your 50% leg. Let's say that red leg, that top leg under you, is a recruiting machine and her team's flying and they're going crazy and they bring in more volume than you. Maybe they have 8,000 in volume right now and you're at 10,000 in volume, but you can't count it all because of that 8,000, right? Because they're heavy legging you is what a lot of people call that. But the 50% rule, here is an illustration, a visual of what that's going to look like. An example of one leg being more than 50% of your downline volume. We often call this being heavy-legged, redlined, or lopsided. In cases like this, it's encouraged that you do 3 things. 1, continue to support your heavy leg. Continue to support all those red boxes because guess what? You're getting paid on them. So you need to be helping them and helping them grow, even though in the sense of you ranking up, they may be, I won't necessarily say use the word hurting you because it's not hurting you, it's just preventing you from ranking up, but you're still getting paid 100% on those red boxes. So you need to continue to love on them and continue to support them and whatever they need. Second thing is to focus on all of those other white boxes, right? Focus on all the other legs. Throw out incentives to them, offer coaching calls to them, host a Zoom, maybe do a team pop-up for them, but focus on all the white boxes. And then the third thing is build outside that heavy leg. Okay, you got to recruit, then build. And that will help you get out from under that red lined, those heavy legged or that lopsided side of your organization. All right, so here's a reality check. I want to go back just for a moment. This is what the chart looks like when you're charting. Why does this chart look this way? Because this is all that's required. This is all that Red Aspen requires of you to hit Associate Brand Director. 4 active legs. You see that 4 active legs and 2 underneath the brand manager, right? So this is all that you are required to have. However, here's a reality check for you. This is what an organization really looks like. Okay, this isn't necessarily an associate, any particular associate brand director's organization. I'm just showing you what this really looks like. It's not going to look like this. Okay, it's not going to look like this. It's not always going to have only 6 people and you get to $10,000 in volume. That's not normal. This is normal. This is where you have multiple people on your front line. Some of them are recruiting, some of them are not, some of them are active, some of them are not. So the black squares I put on here I put as like being not, they're not active. And then I put the pink ones as they are active. And maybe the 2 directly under the white U box just came on this month. And so they're considered active, but they don't have sales. But this is what your organization really looks like when you're running for Associate Brand Director, right? So when you're charting, you've got to consider all of the boxes. You can't just consider what is required. You've got to look at the bigger picture. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, so looking at this reality check, the circled area is the one that I'm looking at for a brand manager. You can look at it on the right side too, that's fine, but I'm using one example. This one example already has 2 legs, right? It's somebody that signed up and they have 2 legs. So this one could be a brand manager leg. Find out who's working on this team, who's building, who's a team player, who needs this. Who can you coach to build this person into a brand manager? Okay, so I'm going to close with incentives. It is okay to incentivize your team, but you got to be smart about it. And I just wanted to cover this briefly. Isn't that the cutest little coffee cup? I just wanted to cover this briefly and talk to you about incentives, okay? How? How do you incentivize? I suggest that you provide a challenge and you give an action task. You may want to do something like for every order you get, or for every $30 in orders, or $30 you sell, or however you want to do it, you can do it that way. But I suggest that you provide a challenge or an action task. Go and make a post, go live and share this, do a live challenge, do some type of incentive that makes them actually take action. Okay. What are you going to give them? Whatever it is, don't break the bank. I suggest you give them business tools. If they want products, I would give them products that maybe they can't get their hands on. The cow nails went very well where people were desperate for those cow nails. And so that was a great way to incentivize our team as a whole, was to throw out cow nails. Anything like that, anything that's not something that they can get their hands on, it's going to be a great thing. When early on in the business, we had little ring lights that had our logo on it, and they went very quickly. And so I was able to incentivize with that. Any kind of swag, any kind of business tool, maybe it's business cards. Think that way, okay? How is it going to better their business? And then whatever you do, try to do more little incentives rather than one big one. Instead of doing like $100 Amazon card, can you do 5 $20 Amazon cards, which even $100 I think is too much for incentivizing. But when you're incentivizing, make sure that you're doing lots of little ones so that more people are going to want to have a piece of that and more people win, right? When do you do these? When do you do these incentives? I would say that you do them in short periods, maybe 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, no more than 7. But I think that the 3 to 5 is a good time frame. And then you want to add incentives as you get closer to ranking. So maybe you incentivize for going live. I want you to go live in the next 3 days and share about your favorite product, right? And then maybe a few days later, after that's done, you do another incentive and say, hey, this weekend, anyone who sells $20, I'm going to give you this. And constantly be throwing out these little incentives as you're building to associate brand director. Again, don't break the bank. Use something that you have. If you don't have anything or you can't afford to go get something extra, use your rewards and give away products. There are ways. You can't give me an excuse on this. You can incentivize somehow, some way, right? You can give them your time, whatever it is. And then you can add incentives as you get closer to ranking. As you see that number getting closer and maybe you're $1,000 away or $2,000 or whatever your number is, you can start throwing out, hey, I'm going to incentivize. If we hit this, we're going to do this. And talk to your sponsor, talk to your director. Maybe they will help offer an incentive. Maybe they will pitch in. Maybe they'll offer a coaching call to your team or maybe to a specific person who wins. So reach out to them. They can guide you and help you with incentives as well. One last thing I want to say is when you are charting and you are looking at the bigger picture, understand that something as simple as the previous chart, this one, is not necessarily the way your organization is going to look when you hit associate brand director, right? Your organization is going to look way more spread out. It's going to look more like this. So when you are charting, although you are plugging names into the boxes, you've got to consider who's active under them, right? Who's in the pink boxes, who's in the black boxes, who can you count on, right? Who can you work with? Who wants this? Who's a team player? Who's willing to do this? Like, you've got to ask these questions and figure out who are your pinks, right? Who are the pink boxes? Who's going to run with you on this journey? And understand that it's going to take several people to get there. I know when you get to senior brand manager, you think, oh my gosh, like I can't wait. I can't wait to be an associate brand director. It's exciting. It's something everybody wants, right? But you're going to have to remember that to get to associate brand director, you are going to need a lot more volume than you needed for senior brand manager. You're going to need $6,000 more, and that is going to come from growing your team. So you will need to continue to build. And the more people you bring into your organization, the better off you're going to be long term, the more sustainable it is that you can continue to grow and you can continue to build. Legs fall off all the time, right? They come in, they leave, they don't like it, they do like it, but they get swept away with life, whatever it is, they come and go. So the more legs you have, the more recruiting you do, the more building you do with your organization, the better off you're going to be to hold on to that rank of associate brand director. All right, guys, that is it. Let's cheers to you. Are you feeling like a charting pro at this point? I hope you are, because you are a charting master. Happy charting, y'all. Congratulations on your present and future success. It's time to get out there and run for Associate Brand Director.